Hey May, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Good to see you.
Yeah.
Thank you for agreeing to do this testimonial video after your 3 month program.
Mhm.
So, are you ready? We can get
Yeah.
started. All right. You look beautiful, by the way, like a cute little girl. Not a mom of two kids that I know you are. All right. So why don't we start? I'll just, present who you are. As an intuitive medium and guide, you're basically helping people to get in touch with their soul journey, their purpose, why they're here on Earth, and to basically help them like work through the blocks that they're encountering here by going for what they desire, right?
Yeah.
And so let's start with just maybe you can share some of the challenges that you were facing when you contacted me and when you wanted to start working with me.
The two main challenges that I was facing with when I contacted you, number one was that I was at a very, very difficult point in my marriage.
Sure.
By the time I had contacted you, it had already been, 2, 3 months of really lots of tension
Yeah.
between my husband and I. We were very disconnected. We were arguing about the same things, just going in circles, um, and nothing was getting resolved. It was very painful.
Sure.
So at that point, I contacted you. And the other thing was that I had been in a gray area between a hobby and starting a business for years. And I knew it was time to level up, to make it more serious, make it into a practice or a business. But I just have been feeling so much resistance and all these blocks that I didn't know what to do with it.
Sure. So there were basically both personal and professional issues that you were tackling.
Right.
Right. So why did you decide to go ahead and invest in this program and actually invest in yourself? Because that's a question that people usually have difficulty kind of gauging and deciding to actually trust the process and trust what they will actually come out as winners at the end. So I want to hear how that internal dialogue went for you.
So it started out that, I was reading a lot of the articles that you posted, and a lot of the things you said really resonated with me.
Yeah.
And then I decided to go onto your website, and you had a list of, issues that you had written, and I could identify with every single one of them. It was like I had written them because I had written about them in the journal. The procrastinating, doubting myself, everything. And I thought, okay, she has been through this. This woman knows what I've experienced. She knows how I feel. She's been there, so I'm going to contact her. I find it's difficult for someone to help you on your path who hasn't been through
Sure.
the same thing or similar experiences as you.
Hmm.
So,
And I remember
and
you actually mentioning
yeah,
that at the beginning that you read um, the website and the challenges that usually people come to me, and you said I could find myself in each of these, like you
yeah,
wrote them for me. So that was actually a sign that we're really aligned to work together. And
yes.
what made you like decide to actually invest in yourself, to say I'm really worth this money and this time and this dedication?
Because I think a lot of people say, this is a large amount of money. I can't put this kind of money in right now.
So
But I know that, if I just stay stuck in the same place, nothing is ever going to change. And I'm at this point in my life where, well, number one, I believe I deserve the change and deserve someone guiding me through it.
yeah.
And I know, the path for me to joy and more abundance is if I work through these blocks. So for me, it was, if I can afford this now, there's no better gift I can give to myself than doing this right now.
Sure. And I'm really happy to hear you say that, because it really encourages others to put themselves first. I mean, this I'm doing this work because I really feel like, and I have results that I am helping people. And obviously it is my business as well. So it's not like a hobby, as you say, that you started with your idea for your business. But the point is for people to really feel aligned that this is right for them. And I felt like you just felt that you felt that it was the right step for you. And we just talked like we knew each other from from before, and that's when I feel like people are really aligned, when there is no awkwardness, when there is no like, oh, what do I say next, and then people are like quiet, and we just talk openly. And when there is that trust, then there is really opportunity to quantum leap, which you did really in this program. So tell us about the results that you are actually most happy with after our 3-month program.
There are so many, actually. I had to really think about it. But one of the major ones, I believe, is ever since we started doing the sessions, I could really feel connected to my own voice. For the longest time, I felt afraid to, speak what I was really feeling. And through our sessions, I just felt that fear melting away.
Yeah.
And the impact it has had on my relationships, especially my marriage, is just, it's been crazy. I've been able to, say exactly what I feel. I feel heard. And that has changed, the whole dynamic with my husband. It's changing, my perception of how I see the world as well. I was very conflict averse before I started the sessions with you, and that caused a lot of anxiety and stress. Yeah. And now I feel that, I can voice displeasure. I can say when I don't agree, and I feel safe doing it, and it makes me feel empowered. And that has changed everything. Yeah.
Yes, I think when you own where you stand, and you're not hiding your true needs and desires, and you show your full self, you really have a fuller life, and someone who loves you can actually meet you there, because now they know what they're facing. Whereas when people pull back or are scared of just being who they are, then the other person is also scared because they don't know what to expect. It's like always this kind of game of not thrones, but like shadows, where you're like, oh, who's going to jump at me now, All right. And I really like a couple of other things you mentioned, that you had ripple effects, which I love. And I would love for you to talk about that, because it's something that I think you're magical, that you started using these tools with your kids. And do you want to share how? Because I'm really touched and honored by that, because it's just like, wow, then you really, with kids, you see directly if something works or not, you can't trick them that easily.
I have a 7-year-old son, and he's very strong-willed, but he feels very strongly too. So he has very strong emotions. And there was one day after I picked him up after school that he was very upset. He just burst out into tears, and he had told me about this incident at school where a boy had, taken a book that he had wanted to read, and he had said, no, I was going to read that book first. But, instead of working it out with words, they each grabbed one end of the book, and it ended up, being ripped in half. The moment that the teacher saw it, she just saw my son ripping the book, so he got in trouble for it. And she did speak to him privately afterwards, but her first reaction was to scream at him in front of the class. And my son felt terrible about it. He said, I'm so angry at the teacher. I'm so embarrassed. She yelled at me in front of everybody. He said, I'm not going to school tomorrow. I'm not going to school ever again. I want to change schools. So this was very upsetting for me too. And I would say before, my knee-jerk reaction might have been, no, don't say that. That's your teacher. and maybe it wasn't right that you were grabbing the book. Don't say that about your teacher. But through our sessions, I remember, there is the power is in acknowledging the feelings. That's what, makes you feel better. So we went home and I decided to try this thing, that you guide me through. And so we drew a picture of his teacher. And I told my son, I said, okay, this is your teacher. You tell her everything that you couldn't tell her in the classroom. It's okay. It's okay. It's a picture. You can tell her. So he just went for it. He said, I hate you. You made me feel really bad. You're really mean. I didn't do that. And then he just went on and on and on. And then at the end, then he ripped up the picture. But as he was doing it, then all of a sudden you could tell, the anger started to melt, and he just thought it was the funniest thing ever. And then you could tell everything had just left his body. He felt relieved. He was smiling. And I was so surprised the next morning there was no more talk of it, no more mention of it. He was happy to go to school.
Awesome. And it's like such a quick turnaround with like a little boom. And I'm really happy how you were creative to like put it on a picture for him so he can, talk to the teacher and yell at her and just express his feelings. That was awesome. And I remember what you mentioned also with your younger son, who is not even who's preverbal. He's not even 2 yet, right? Do you want to share that?
So my younger one is 20 months. He's just starting his first words now, but a lot of frustration for him is that he's not really speaking yet, like us. But he has his wants and needs.
Yeah.
And there was one time where we had to leave the house, and he really wanted to read his book about trucks. And so he started screaming and wailing. And I remember what had happened with my older son. So I decided to try the same thing. So I looked into his eyes and I said, Oscar, you're sad. You're upset because you want to read the book. Oscar really wants to read the book, but we can't because we have to leave. That's why you're sad. And I remember his little eyes, he just looked at me, and you could tell, he was relieved. He said, she understands, okay, mommy, he's like, and then he was okay with leaving the house, and he stopped fussing.
And how brilliant is that? Like, that you can actually calm a tantrum, a normal tantrum, because, that's all he can manage to express himself. Tantrums are normal ways that kids express their needs until they grow up and can do it better. That you can calm it down by validating what he's feeling and what you guys have to do. I mean, I really want to see how you take this further, because it's such amazing stuff. Like I only work with adults, but this is like really inspiring me how you used it with your kid. Do you want to share something about maybe I know we are going to, because you extended your program for another 6 months where we're going to work more on your business side, but do you want to share maybe some empowerment you received through this work on focusing on your business and owning your power? And you also had kind of out of the blue, 6 clients showed up when we released some really heavy emotions of guilt and shame from the past. So I think that's important for people to realize that business changes happen when you actually resolve internal conflicts, which have sometimes absolutely nothing to do with your business currently. So
I forget which session we were maybe halfway through our 3-month thing. And I remember we were working through personal issues, from the past. I think it had to do with betrayal and abandonment.
Yes, I think it was betrayal within the family dynamic kind of over and over again, which stuck in your energetic body and just made you really, really feel unworthy. I think that was the thing. When people betray you, you think, well, I'm really nothing, because they allow themselves to treat me like this. That's the bottom line of what betrayal kind of registers within a human being.
Yes. So I remember that was a big thing, and I remember feeling you know, relieved after the session and feeling light, and there were definitely things processing. But the thing that was very surprising about that week was that I got 6 reading requests, and most of them were for people I had not read before. And, you know, up to now, I haven't done any advertising, has just been word of mouth. So I was really surprised. You know, it was just one after the other each day with my phone would go bing, bing, bing. And that for me, it was this light bulb moment thinking, wow, we weren't even focusing
Yeah.
on my business. We were working through other things. So I was thinking, now imagine if we put the focus on working through issues related to business, what could happen?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I find that really just like a recurring thing with clients, that, you know, even like the memories that we get to and resolve within a session usually don't necessarily have anything to do with business per se, but they carry the same emotion that is blocking the person from moving forward at that moment. So it's the emotion that's cleared. And when that happens, it's like your natural gifts and power return. There's nothing, you don't have to force anything to happen. So that's a really beautiful way of kind of describing what we work on. And can you share with me how you feel now as opposed to how you felt when we started the program? Just like your feeling body, your emotional body, how you carry yourself on a daily basis.
I would say at the beginning of our sessions, if you imagine a tightly wound ball of steel wire, that's
Yeah.
how I felt. You know, just on edge all the time, nervous and anxious all the time. And now I feel like all of this weight has been dropped. I feel I have space to breathe again. I'm looking forward to, you know, what lays ahead again. And I feel that even though, you know, I still have certain challenges to face, that I can be with it at this moment. I can still enjoy, you know, joyful moments while being aware that there are challenges, but it's not taking over my life. I feel peaceful. Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember one day you mentioned that people were saying that you just appear lighter and brighter, like just generally, like friends or family or somebody who you were hanging out with. And I also realized that at that session you were actually in the car, and I told you look just like so relaxed, a lot more relaxed than any session prior. So okay, so maybe another thing that would be interesting for people to know is how is for you my approach to working with you different than from what you've experienced before, either in coaching or in therapy, because I know you also go to therapy for other aspects of your life.
So I am currently seeing a therapist. About 8 or 9 years ago, I had worked with another heart-centered business coach, and I have also signed up to you know, heart-centered entrepreneur online business courses. The main difference in the approach between you and anything else, I feel every other approach is trying to get me to change, but I have to be a certain way, you know, I have to be more disciplined, or have to be more this, have to be more that, trying to become something more than I am. And I feel with you, we're doing the opposite. We are taking away, working through the blocks, dissolving the blocks, and I can just be who I am with you. I feel that when I work with you, I feel like I don't have to be anybody else. What we're trying to do is get back to the real me.
Yes, and that's the essence of the work, of not trying to use tools and techniques to like put more things on somebody instead of, as you say, just taking off. It's like we're taking off the cloaks that are there from all the previous experiences, and who you are naturally, which is my intrinsic and innate belief that everybody intrinsically is a brilliant person, is a genius, has courage, has confidence, and the only reason that is not showing up in life is some previous experience which has bogged that person down. So when we get rid of that and when we process those emotions, you're able to get in touch with who you are. And I love that, because I'm a very sensitive person, and I work with people who are, sensitive, intelligent, empaths, and it doesn't work for us. Maybe for other, I have to acknowledge, there are really a lot of approaches on this earth, and maybe for some other people it really works, and they are having changes in the way that is not aligned for me or for you. But for people who are, I would say, have a need for real authenticity, and that by knowing that you don't want to copy anybody, by like really having kind of a repulsive feeling to anything being imposed on you. It's kind of like a pioneer and a revolutionary, and I call everybody who I work with divine rebels. I really feel like it's people who are actually birthing something new in the world, and they have to be allowed and supported to birth that, not forced or coaxed or, stuck with other people's thoughts. It just doesn't work. So I'm really happy you mentioned that, because it's something that's very important to me.
I couldn't get through the business courses and, with the other coach because of this whole accountability thing. They wanted me to move from a certain place to another place, but there were blockages there that were preventing me from moving there. So I like when we work together, we focus on dissolving the blocks, and then I just move to the next part naturally and organically. I love that. Yeah.
Yes, and there is a thing that people do is it's like, I think it's people just not acknowledging the natural progression of a human being, and maybe also it's a bit of clients' responsibility for wanting these out of the world results in like 1 month, so then this other person is pushing you to go to like several levels, and that also shows how little we understand ourselves, and and our way of changing, and our way of actually pursuing things and getting to a point where we're successful and wealthy and well off. So yeah, it's a very, very good point that you made about people just feeling pushed. And I wrote a post, and I think you saw it, about accountability, how I don't believe in that. I don't even believe in it for children. I think you can play with them and see where they naturally evolve and have some goals and maybe some boundaries, for them. But to hold them accountable is like you're actually taking away humans' natural responsibility and making them responsible to somebody. It's like you're creating authority abiding figures and not freedom thinkers. I'm having goosebumps now. Seriously, that's what it is. And I don't believe in any of that. I don't believe you need that. So, all right. So I did want to ask you about like ripple effects, but we already talked about a lot of them. And maybe another thing would be just kind of to summarize this. What would be like the biggest takeaway for you from working the 3 months with me? Just like something like that's for you the most important.
The biggest takeaway, the most important thing, from our sessions is, and it's going to sound cliche, but now it's really been cemented in my mind, is that I don't need to be more than I already am. The way I am right now is good enough. That's the biggest thing. I don't need to be searching. I don't need more certification. I don't need bigger this, better that. I have learned through our sessions that I'm just trying to get back to myself.
I'm at the edge of tears, but I will keep it. That was really touching, and I'm really glad that you feel this way. And I think if anyone would ask me what my legacy would be, I think that would be it. It wouldn't be for people to make trillions of dollars, because they can if they want to, but to know that who they are is just awesome and that there's nothing to change is like, then they're happy, and then they're rippling this happiness and contentment to others, and then you can do whatever you want. You can have a business, you can, you know, be a stay-home mom, you can do whatever, but just from this space of happiness, which is basically what I think I'm trying to get everybody to, including myself. All right, and so who would you recommend this kind of work to from your point of view?
I would say to people who want to change. I think it's important that there's desire to want to change, to be willing to go, you know, into those places, to be willing to be vulnerable and feel everything that is coming up.
Excellent.
To people who perhaps have already started some work on this, and you know, who know at this point that you can only go this far on your own, but are willing and open to receive your guidance and help.
Yeah, it's really like people who are open to synergy in this kind of work, and are ready to change. Really, it is, you know, you and no one is forcing you, and it will be the change that you want, at your pace, and it will feel good. So that's the whole point of this process of mine is, yeah, maybe sometimes you will feel sadness during the sessions when we're processing emotions, but after that you will feel better, and you will every time feel better and better. And I love that. That's awesome. And I mentioned this at the beginning, but you can maybe just speak a little bit about why you decided to continue the coaching program with me, or actually to go into the legacy coaching, where we're going to work more on building your business from your space of like spiritual grounding and your own power. What made you want to continue work with me?
I would say the main thing is I feel so much better now than I did, you know, 2 or 3 months ago. It was such an intense time 2 or 3 months ago. The place I was at was so stressful. I really felt I was close to a nervous breakdown.
Yeah.
Right now I feel relaxed. I feel, you know, at peace where I am, and I want to continue that. I feel after each session that, you know, another layer of, I felt like I was encased in this like heavy mud, and every time after a session, more of it comes off, and I start to see more of who I am, and I want to continue that. And because we had been working mostly with personal life stuff, and we were just getting into, you know, the business part, I am now really excited. I really want to see, you know, where that will bring me. So yes, that's why I decided.
Me too. I'm really excited about like solidifying where you're standing on, and just then seeing what creativity comes out of you, because that's always something that I can't predict from any client, and so I'm actually excited about that. Okay, well, thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate you sharing this with me and whoever views this video. And anything you want to say in closing?
The main thing I would say, if anybody's hesitating or thinking about it now, that it is completely worth investing into yourself and worth the time, and it has done so much for me. So yeah.
I'm so grateful. I'm grateful to have you as a client, and to have the honor to continue to work with you. And so thank you for your time, and talk to you soon, dear. Big kiss. Bye.
Bye.